Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a book haul. I don't often do book hauls. I try not to buy too many books since I know my reading hasn't been like super poppin' lately, so I've been trying to restrain myself, and I usually do a good job. But I do have almost 30 books here to haul for y'all. Let me see if I can get more lighting real quick. Is that better? Not really. Almost 30 books. I don't really have any order. I think I will go with books that I bought like regular price, which I very rarely do. A majority of the books I have behind me are thrift books, Goodwill. I used to have a Second and Charles in my city. I no longer do, but you know, all those books were fairly way lower than like the market price. One of the it books of the moment is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I haven't read from Rachel Gillig before. I do have another book on my shelf from her. I believe in this book we follow a character who has these dreams and they're kind of omens, and I think people travel to her and her, like, I don't know if they're considered sisters, but other women like her to like get these prophetic dreams that come with like warnings. But she's aging out of this role. I'm not quite sure how it works, and I'm sure there's a journey. I know that there's a romance. I actually was pretty excited about this. It looked cool, but then I heard some reviews about the writing. We'll see how I feel about it, but you know, it is the book of the moment and it is stunning. So also really hyped up book is The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I believe there's this is like a school setting, maybe a magic school setting, and there's a bit of a mystery. Someone's died and our main character has to find out who killed them. I've heard a lot of great things about this one. This one's like been really well loved by a majority of the people who read it and who I've seen. In my last vlog, which I'm not sure will go out before this or after this, I did an unboxing for a subscription service. I've decided to pay for Legends and Caffeine. This is the first book I got from my first subscription. This is The Last Vigilant by Mark A. Latham. When I read the description there, honestly it felt very like classic fantasy tropes, and that's kind of what I got here. I believe there's some evil entity rising or maybe some war brewing, and our main character has to find a vigilant, which is this like class of individuals that hasn't been seen for a while. When Amazon was having their Prime Day sale, bookshop.org was also having a competing sale where they had free shipping, and I decided to pick up 2 books. Also talked about it in my last genre vlog. I picked up Maurice by E.M. Forster. This is a book out your everyday man. I believe the book starts off when he's fairly young and he goes through life. I think he's somewhat privileged, but the only thing is that he's gay. I believe this was published in the 1910s, 1914, 19 something like that, as well as Carmilla, which is a vampire story that was published before Dracula. Obviously Dracula overshadows most vampire stories. The Sapphics love this one, so I wanted to try it out myself. I also picked up Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I love Stephen Graham Jones's work, even though I don't always love the actual book. I'm always so focused on his writing. His writing deserves focus, even if it's not like particularly like super nuanced written. Whenever I pick up one of his books, I have to hyper focus on it. Like I can't have distractions. But this is a revenge story. I do see a lot of revenge narratives in his work. I believe this is told through maybe like a diary format is what I heard. The term vampire got thrown around when people were talking about this. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. I don't know anything about this book. I haven't yet read an Ava Reid book either. I know she's fairly popular at the moment. I've heard some critiques about xenophobia. I'm not gonna buy into that quickly because I feel, knowing what I've read of the summary, which isn't a lot, it doesn't really say much here, I feel like maybe the author might be a little more nuanced with this character and certain themes that people have claimed to occur in this book. But it seems like she's gone through intense mistreatment and she's in this big survival mode, and we'll see how that manifests. Also picked up The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I have liked every Grady Hendrix book I have read. I read the one about the rock star. I read the one about my best friend's exorcism. And then he also wrote the haunted IKEA knockoff. In this book we follow a group of women who were final girls of like real life slasher events, and I think they start getting picked off one by one again. And super random, my mom got me some Sudoku puzzles because she knows I like Sudoku. So this was technically a brand new purchase, like from the bookstore, but it was bargain priced for less than $7. This is the St. Ambrose School for Girls by Jessica Ward. This seems like your typical YA mystery thriller set at like a boarding school. We follow a girl who moves to this boarding school. She has baggage. Someone starts picking on her. She sometimes makes friends. Someone ends up dead. Thriller. I know I read a book with a similar premise. I'm not saying they're copying, it's just a very great premise. But I do like YA mystery thrillers, sometimes more than like adult ones, but it was a bargain. So also brand new but in the bargain bin section for less than $5 is Immortal in Death. This is the next book in the In Death series by JD Robb, also known as Nora Roberts. I started reading the series a while ago, and I didn't really like, I liked the books, but I didn't really feel compelled to keep picking them up. But I always need like a kind of procedural detective mystery story in my life. I'm nearly done with the Kate Daniels books, and I try to like alternate between like books in a series and something that is not in a series, just so I'm always like moving forward in my TBR. So I thought this is a series that I can jump back into. I know there's like a ton, like it's like 50 or some crazy ass number for books in the series, but I think this is the third one. I'm not sure. So everything else next in this video were books bought at thrift books, Goodwill, just somewhere where they are like bargain bin, whatever. I can knock out 5 really quickly though. I have been thinking of doing a video trying a certain author for a majority of the vlog, and I decided if I were to actually do that, and if that video ever comes to fruition, because a lot of times they don't, I would start with P. the Jelly Clark, who has a few books. Here's 5 that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 that I bought from thrift books. We have the Dead Cat Tail Assassins. This I believe follows an assassin who's part of some sort of assassin guild, and she takes up a job, and if she doesn't fulfill a contract, then she herself probably gets, you know what I mean? He has a lot of short work, but I've heard so many great things about his stories. So also picked up the Black God's Drums. We follow this character who I think is part of like a smuggling ship, steampunky situation going on, but she also has a African Orisha inside her head and like gives her powers. This one's probably the one that is the most recognized from this author. This is Ring Shout. I'm not sure if they're actually actively hunting these individuals, but in this book KKK members are demons, or they're possessed by demons, or they're one and the same. Either way, it's canonically accurate, but this one very interested in this one. And then these 2 books I believe exist within the same universe: The Haunting of Tramcar 015 and A Master of Jinn. This is completely up my alley. Historical setting, mystery with supernatural elements. The characters in this book are part of the Ministry of Alchemy and Enchantments and Supernatural Entities. This takes place in Cairo in the 1910s, early Cairo, I believe. Yes, 1912 Cairo. Both of these books. I'm not sure which one to read first, like timeline wise. I'll just look it up. I'm assuming they each have like a mystery that they're solving. That is my P. the Jelly Clark segment of the haul. At my Goodwill, I found A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. This is, I believe, YA, and it's about a girl who makes teas, accidentally kills her mother, and has now poisoned her sister with some tea. And she, I think, enters this competition or something to get a favor from the princess to help save her sister. And there's a lot of court intrigue. The cover's stunning. I look forward to this. And then we have Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles. I think this is also YA. We have a group of people competing to be the next headliner of the Conquering Circus, and people are dropping dead. I'm not a big competition reader. I know a lot of people love competition books. That's never been my thing, but why not? I also picked up Blood of Tyrants by Naomi Novik. I have not actually started the Tamara series, but this is one of the series that I've been wanting to read for the longest time, and I have like all the books, so if I don't like it, I'm gonna be very sad. But this is one of them that I needed. I think I have all the books. I think I need Tongues of Serpents and Crucible of Gold to complete the series. Not that I needed it, the whole series, before just like starting it, but I saw it at the Goodwill and I was like, well, might as well. This is like a reimagining of the Napoleonic Wars, but with like dragons thrown into it. I picked up Never Coming Home by Kate Williams. This I never would have thought to pick up, but I believe someone read it in a vlog, another booktuber, don't remember who, but it's about a bunch of influencers that crash into some like remote island and shit gets real. So sometimes authors don't really do like influencer stuff really well. Not to say that I'm an influencer and I'm like the most knowledgeable person, but like if you're on social media, like you know what's like BS and what's not. Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is like one of those books that like you should read in your life, or so people say, and I saw it. I like this edition, so I picked up this edition of Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. I've been meaning to read Agatha Christie for the longest time. I love mysteries. Why not read from the queen of mysteries? There's been adaptations of this, so I don't really have to explain it. I love this little almost like pocket edition. I love the look of yellowy pages. Ugh. And then I also got Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. I've seen this book forever and I've been wanting to like pick it up, but I just like never, it was never at the top of my TBR. It was never at the top of my to buy list. It's YA. We follow a princess who's like betrothed to this guy, and there's like some sort of assassination attempt, and our main character, I think, is like trying to investigate this assassination attempt, and she joins up with her betrothed, the prince's sister, but they're like feeling each other. She doesn't really want to marry the man. She wants a woman. I don't know why I said it like that. It'll be cute. I picked up Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I don't know what compelled me to buy this other than it was incredibly cheap, and I know broad strokes about it. If you didn't know, I've been wanting to read more diversely in terms of genre anyways. I thought, why not? I saw it, so I picked it up. I also picked up Lucky's Girl Live. Also just saw it on the shelves at Goodwill by Jessica Knoll. This is about a woman who has everything in life, but there's some sort of dark secret that she has, and maybe that dark secret comes back to like bite her in the ass. It sounds like, again, a very like been there done there plot, but like they hit so well sometimes. I believe this one is adult though, even though it says Lucky's Girl Live. Engaged to like a really handsome blue blood fiance, so I'm assuming it's older because the character's older and is engaged, even though I feel like it might read like why, I don't know why I have that feeling, but a little thriller to like cut some of the fantasy I'm reading. Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I've actually read this one. I have read this one. This is one of the books I've read so far in this haul. I mean, it's a haul, so you shouldn't expect me to read or have read all of them. You haul books that you don't read or you haven't read yet. I actually read the arc of this way back when it was coming out. Really enjoyed it. There's like 3 POVs, and I'm shocked that most people did not like the POV that I liked. It was my favorite one. There's like a blind man who's the center of this prophecy, and then you have this captain of the ship who's kind of like a siren-esque character. People loved her POV. I love the Sun Priest POV in this book. In this series so far. I've only read the first 2 books. I haven't finished the series yet. It was such a good book. I really enjoyed this one. I didn't have a physical copy. I read an e-arc. And then I picked up Catherine of Aragorn, The True Queen by Alison Weir. This is a historical fiction reimagining, I guess, of Queen Catherine. And I mean, we all know what happens to her legacy and all that kind of stuff. But I've never read an Alison Weir, and I did take Tudor Stuart history when I was in university, so I know a bit about the Tudors. I've been wanting to diversify my reading a bit more, and I have a feeling that these kinds of novels that kind of reimagining this part of English history, they might be like very compulsive. They might read well is what I'm trying to say. But that is pretty much the haul. It's a few books I am very interested in, well, all of them. That's why I picked them up, but hopefully I'll get to them sooner rather than later. My reading has been picking up a bit more lately. It was kind of in the dumps in the first half of the year, but now I'm actually kind of getting into the groove of things. So let me know if you've read any of these, if you are interested in any of these, or you've disliked any of these. That would be also really great to hear in the comments down below. Feel free to talk to me about anything down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.